Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can.
How are you?
Great. I'm great. I'm tired, but I'm great. It's been a
Oh,
long.
I know. I was like, God bless you for like Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Oh my gosh, I would be like your brain is fried by Thursday at 7.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I had a art club after school today too,
Oh
so
yeah. Yeah.
never
No,
ended.
I remember those. Yeah, yeah. My eyeballs would be spinning by this time. Okay, so tell me how this works. Like,
Okay. Normally I open it at 7. I
okay.
let people dribble in because sometimes, people like
Oh
school and
yeah.
dances, everybody comes in within 10 minutes or so. So
Okay.
like I 10 after 7 is when I absolutely start. I will welcome everybody and then I can introduce you and then I can
Sure.
hand everything over to you
Okay.
and I will make you co-host right now.
Okay. Is it okay if I put the link to what we're going to do? There's a lesson with like if they like what we're doing and they'd like to, can I put my TPT link in the chat
Of course.
for them if they're
Absolutely.
and then of course if they want it, fine. If they don't, fine. But if sometimes people are like, oh, well, where can I get that? And it'll just be there. They can
Right.
just, yeah,
What we could do, I might have to do it multiple times because if people come in after we post it, they won't see it in
gotcha.
their chat. And I was thinking of doing um like a sharing multiple times the link you sent me to the
Oh, to the reference.
yes, yes. Um, and this is the first time I don't know, you know what? I don't, did I ever ask you where in the world you actually are?
No, I'm in South Carolina.
Oh, wow. Okay, no, I don't recall ever knowing that. So
Yeah, I'm in
cool.
Greenville.
Okay, my brother is in North Carolina.
Okay, where is he in North Carolina?
He's in Apex.
Apex. Okay, we moved here from Mooresville, from Lake Norman. So yeah, I'm not sure. Is Apex, is that closer to the coast?
No, it's near Charlotte, Durham, Raleigh.
Okay, it's near.
Yeah.
Okay. We were 30 miles north of Charlotte.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah.
kind of know the area.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know it at all, and
I
yeah, we miss him up here.
bet. I
Yeah,
bet.
it's rough, but so why did I ask you that? See, now it's my Thursday brain with
Honey,
holes.
you listen, I totally get you.
Wow.
So
Okay.
then so when you turn
Oh,
it over to
this is
me,
why I asked you. I just
yeah,
remembered. Let me say before I forget it again. So in New York, for New York State teachers, for new teachers, they have to accumulate a certain number of PD hours
yeah,
in order to maintain their certification,
yes.
whatever it is. I'm luckily grandfathered in and I did all that. This is my 21st year teaching, so I don't even have to think about that. But I remember what it was like when everybody was like, okay, you're sending me to PD. Can I get my hours and all of that?
Right.
So this is the first time, and I've been running this club since COVID in 2020.
Okay.
And I've been asking about being able to provide all of this since the beginning, and I was told no. So now I'm partnered with another organization for New York State that does offer these hours. So I have to make sure that everybody also knows that if they need those hours, they have to let me know so that we can get that paperwork or whatever is all involved with that for them as well.
Okay.
So we'll probably end up having to put a lot of links in the chat.
Sure.
And I don't know if this matters to you, but we're not going to give the hours to anybody unless they're with us at the end.
Oh
They have
no,
to
I
be
think
with
I
us
think that
live. They can't
yeah,
also go in and watch the video and say, okay, can I have my hours now? No, you're here. You have to be here for the live session
right.
to be granted those hours. I
Love
think
it.
that's fair. So, and the session will be recorded, you know that.
Sure.
And I can try to post, I've never done it, but I could try to post the materials with the video. So if people want access, I should try to
Sure.
do that with your stuff also.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, whatever you want to do. Yeah, I'm good with however it works for you best.
Mhm.
Um, I'm I'm in. So you
But
just
you're
tell me.
so awesome for doing this, and a lot of the people who registered mentioned, whether it was on Facebook or emailed me back, that you're they're fangirling and they're so
Oh,
excited about seeing you
oh,
live because they follow you
oh,
and
that's
yeah.
wonderful. No, listen, um I was in the classroom for 13 years and then moved here 2 years ago to be close to my daughter because she's just starting a family. And
Aw,
so my new chapter is working with educators.
that's
And
awesome.
so yeah, so I do have a lot of online PD with certification, like certificates at the end.
Right.
If people are interested, we can also put that link in there. But they can find everything on my website, which
Okay.
it's the easiest way to find whatever you need, resources, my PD, all that stuff. Um, but it's a privilege. I appreciate you inviting me to do this. I really do. It means a lot. It means a lot because I love teaching and I love working with you guys.
Oh,
So,
thank you. It means a lot that you said yes so easily and quickly too.
well, don't people say
Great.
yes? I can't imagine. Oh my gosh, you
Well,
could say
it depends because I stalk people on Facebook. That's how I find, most of my people, and it depends if they're actually current teachers. We're all exhausted, and
sure, sure,
they don't want at certain times of the year. They just can't handle one more obligation.
exactly.
So,
Nope.
you know,
Well, then this worked out perfectly.
it
This worked out
really did.
perfectly.
It
Yes.
really,
And
really
listen,
did.
for future reference,
Yes.
if you need me to do this again, I'd be happy to do it again. So, yeah, sure.
Yes.
Well, listen, Steph, it helps me too. Like
Mhm.
a lot of people, I think, buy my things, but they've never had a chance to hear me teach or see me talk, or like sometimes you just got to put a face with a name if you
Yes.
want to spend money. So,
Right.
and this is hard earned money. Educators are underpaid and exhausted, and so if it helps me reassure them that, it's worth it, then that's great. But yeah, I'll do it again if you need me to.
Oh, that would be awesome. So now I have to go through your whole library of lessons and
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you just tell me, what you think, or maybe even if you want to poll your people. I'm sorry, I'm making my picture plain here while I'm talking to you.
okay.
Yeah, and then to boot, this is a total side note, but my sister-in-law called me 5 minutes ago. She just gave my brother an ultimatum that their marriage of 30 years is on the rock. Oh, yeah. He's got a problem.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Probably a little TMI, but I'm just so I like right now I'm like a deer in the headlights, because
Yeah.
this was like 5 minutes ago. So yeah,
Timing is always fabulous with these things.
exactly. And I
They're
said to her, I said, Becky,
amazing.
honest to God, I never do anything in the evening. I said, this is the one evening in like 6 months that I have this obligation. I'm like, I just can't talk to you.
My God.
And I just felt so bad. I was like, oh, good
Uh,
Lord.
well, I appreciate it and thank
Oh,
you.
hey.
I hope the situation resolves itself for the best for
Oh
all
my God.
people
Yeah,
involved.
well, it's been boiling for years, and I think it's just ready. It's just something needs to give here because it's not fair.
Well, everybody has a limit and
Yeah, they do. They do.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, do you know how now that you are co-host, you know how to switch from face to document from your
Is
end?
it just like yep. So I can go over here to my video just like I do when I teach my own courses and go to doc. Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Perfect. You could teach me
Per-
how to do that.
Okay, that was what I was like this morning. You know how all of a sudden, because I'm not super techie, super techie. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's not my Zoom link. How do I do it? What do I do? And then I'm like, okay, calm down. This woman does this. Surely, she'll tell you. Just
Yes.
calm, just dial it back, Tiff. Okay, it's
This is
gonna
and
go.
this is why I pop on always like 15 minutes earlier if anybody needs to have their, little
Yeah.
technology meltdown or whatever it is, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. What about the chat? Now, are we leaving the chat open during this thing, or do you want me to do Q&A at the end, or does it matter?
Do you hate being interrupted while you're teaching?
No.
So then if I'll man the chat
Okay,
And if there's a question and
okay,
you take a breath, I can
sure.
interrupt and read you the question. You should not, don't worry about doing both at one time.
Oh, no, no, listen, I taught high school, okay? You can teach a lesson and then do the fire drill and do
And
the
juggle 12,000
juggle
things.
12,000. Yeah, oh, no, it's cool. And then you got the kid with the vape and it's fine. I got you. I got you. Yeah, no, yeah, why don't we do that? Why don't you just, and then, so I'm assuming, let me make sure I'm assuming correctly.
Yes.
I'm just basically gonna do this lesson. I'm
Okay.
just gonna do it, like, and if they wanna do it with me, I'm just gonna, like, teach it like I would teach it to the kids and do it. Is that kind of what you're looking for,
Yeah,
or?
I mean, there are some of us who like to work along,
Okay,
others who like to watch because they can't keep up because it goes so fast.
okay, okay.
Like my mom who comes to all of these sessions and
Oh,
she's a retired art teacher
oh,
also.
that's awesome.
So she shows up to most of these and she can't keep up because it's all so fast
It's
and
too fast.
technology and stuff. Uh,
But
but
that's
if
but that's the
it's a,
format, but right? That's the format. I'm supposed to just be kind of doing the lesson and talking about how I teach it and
you could introduce it, talk about how you teach it, and if you wanted to slow your pace a little bit to allow folks to work with you,
yeah.
um, that's fine. My
Okay.
question to you before I start letting people in is, so this is what, I don't know, there we go.
But
Or,
there we go, right there.
okay, so this has 9 up on a page, and if
Yes.
we're working on a pad,
Yes.
how does this work? Your
Okay.
handout work?
That is for like for them to copy off and if they want to use this. And so each kid would get one.
Uh-huh.
So they only need one, of course. And then I'm going to tell them that these are 2 by 3 inches and that they're going to need a 4 by 6 picture plane to work in.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
it's small.
So,
It's
oh,
small.
it's small. Oh, yeah. So this is what we're doing. We're
You
doing
know,
this.
it's so deceptive because like the Mona Lisa, you have no
Yeah.
idea how big it actually is.
Yeah.
It's really like, yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So when you posted your finished photos, there was no way to tell the
Uh-huh.
finished size, and a lot
Yeah.
of them had a lot of background detail
Oh, yeah.
that is like, okay,
Yeah.
that's okay,
They,
cool.
yeah. These right here are 5 by 7. These
Uh-huh.
guys, and these are on mat board, and I'm going to talk to them about scrap mat board too.
Uh-huh.
Because guess what you can't do on scrap mat board? You can't trace. La 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 la.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah. And this is what I came up with during COVID.
Oh my
Because
God.
yeah, because
They,
I sent these materials home because I didn't want those little suckers tracing.
oh, they trace everything. They don't know how to
Yes.
do anything for themselves anymore.
Yep. So
It's
anyway, we fixed.
frustrating.
So these were virtual. This is virtual, that's virtual. And a lot of these are kids with accommodations. I didn't want them to see just like all superstar, you know what I mean? I wanted, and not that my kids with mods aren't superstars because they are,
Right.
but
Right.
like this is mods. Let's see, where's another mod? Oh wait, here's a couple cool ones too. Mods and this mods and this one.
You posted quite a few with like the Zentangle patterning
Yeah,
behind it, like the neurographic loop de loop thing with the Zentangle, and I thought that was great.
yeah.
But again, I didn't realize how small that you had actually worked. So this is very cool and it's very doable. It's not
Very doable, yes,
to
and
give kids a big piece of paper and they freak out.
nobody burns out. Steph, nobody my whole curriculum, if you've been on my YouTube, my whole approach is scaffolding and working very small for a variety of reasons. And I have one on my YouTube on teaching drawing, teaching painting, and teaching colored pencil, and how if you scaffold it and you keep it small, you get success for everybody. It's crazy.
You know what drives me crazy though, is that no matter what size paper I give the kids, if I give them a piece of paper that's this big, they will still draw microscopic the middle of the paper, even when I
Well,
say fill the
Well,
space.
that's why I always work with the picture plane and
Mhm.
see like the guidelines are they have to fill the picture plane. So that's why all of these are so nicely filled because
Right.
that's part of the rubric. Like they can't get around it. So
Uh,
there's been times when kids are like, oh crap, Fox, you thought of everything. And I'm like, oh yeah. Because you know what? You got to be smarter than the dog, Steph.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
exhausting. Even when you tell them and you tell them it's in the rubric, you're being graded for following
Huh?
instructions, filling space is part of that.
Huh?
No, adding detail, you can't leave me any empty white space,
Huh?
and it doesn't matter. I mean, we can't think of everything, but they can still sit there and say, I'm not doing it. Then I'm like, well, you're making your choice. That's
But
fine.
I have a whole thing about that too. You gotta watch my classroom management. You gotta go on my website and read my blog about the first day activities.
Hmm.
I grab them like I I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I'm just telling you 100% buy-in, all the kids, post-COVID too, like 100%, 100%, okay?
In
And
high
some
school. In high school.
in high school. And some of these kids, like some of the like this kid right here, and where was the other one I was looking at? This kid right here. I had people tell me that those kids will never do anything for you. They'll never do anything. And I was like, oh yeah, challenge accepted. Okay. And so from the very first day with the community, the mission, the mindset, I don't use a syllabus.
Hmm.
I don't like everything that like you would think would be normal. I just threw it all out the window and came up with this system. And I'm telling you, it's foolproof. If you're bored some weekends, sit around and watch my YouTube and
Do it.
watch the scaffolding videos, the webinars that I did like back in the fall. And
Spring break.
people have told me, they have said, I've been at this for 30 years and just now I have 100% buy-in.
Wow.
People who've been in the classroom 30 years.
I will definitely during spring break make an
Yeah.
appointment with your
Just
website to watch
just
it.
get some coffee, get on my YouTube and listen to me go on and on and on about all the things.
I'm gonna admit people.
And
Um,
then do you want me to like do you want people to be able to chat while people are coming in or because
yeah,
that's fine with me if they, I'm hoping I'll recognize the people.
we can totally chat while people are coming in.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, I think I told you we had like 90 registration, 90
That,
people registered.
that's
Hi
great.
everybody, welcome.
Welcome.
This is our highest registered event
No,
ever.
it's not.
Think yeah, so you like almost broke the internet box or
Oh,
whatever
I
you
love it. Oh, look at all these fabulous. Oh my God.
um so I'm gonna still hold off another 5 minutes, let people
Okay.
dribble in, and if you
Sure.
guys have questions, we can open the floor to questions, open conversation until we start. There's
Oh,
any background noise, I just respectfully request that you mute your
and
microphone.
Steph, on your end, you can mute everybody.
We're gonna do, what do you
Uh,
mean?
You and I could probably
We're
do
gonna have both?
it too. You go
You
to
just gotta do though.
if you go to the participants,
I
let me
can do that, yeah, manually, I see that. I
yeah,
just I want to let people talk if they want to, but any background TV and
yeah.
family conversation, we want to kind of keep to a minimum.
Yeah, and sometimes
Um,
what I do when I start is I just like mute everybody and then if they have a question, they could pop it in the chat and then we could unmute them.
okay,
Maybe you could do it from your end.
we could do that. I think everybody is either quiet or muted at the moment, so that's
Oh, y'all look fabulous. Oh my gosh, look at all these people. I'm so excited. What a privilege.
and we
Wow.
actually have faces.
We do have faces. Faces are good.
Yes,
That's
I
the
love
street. I
faces.
know. And y'all, seriously, I like just got off the bike. I was like a sweaty mess. So y'all are getting, I like actually washed my face and put new makeup on. So y'all are getting like unplugged Tiff. Okay. So if you've not been in my crazy world before, it's not really polished. So.
Well, that's okay. On a Thursday, none of us are polished.
Oh my gosh. Like I said, I'm just like so impressed that anybody would bother to come to this thing because it's Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Like,
For some of us, we need it. And so we look forward to this me time.
I know, and you know what? I need it. So I'm more excited than anybody. I can assure you. I can assure you.
I see some familiar faces. Hi, Risa. Haven't seen you in a long time. Welcome back. Stacy, you're new. Marie is new. Kristen is new. Hi, Kelly. Gregory, you're new. Welcome to the group. Joy and Nina. I feel like romper room.
Oh, these young people aren't going to know romper room, but I remember romper room.
Hi, Mom.
Wait, where's your mom? Where's your mom?
Mom is Roberta. She's looking very confused.
Roberta.
Can you see me? Can
No,
Can
babe,
you
I
see me?
can see
I
that
see,
purple light.
see your face in one and your ceiling in another.
I'm
I'm
having
having a lot of
trouble with
trouble with.
You have two devices on, Mom. You got to get off of
There
one.
she is. Hi, Roberta.
Here I am.
Okay, you need to log off. You're on two devices. You need to get off one of them because you're also making
Yeah, that's what's giving us the
echo.
All right, and I hope I. Wait a minute. All right, I hope I. Wait a minute.
I'm muting you, Mom, until you get it together.
I hope I don't turn off the wrong one.
I love it. I love it.
Oh my
Okay, wait, I
God.
see. It looks like her dot cam might be
Oh
on.
my gosh.
I
Wait,
think
I think she's good.
she did something
she-
that worked.
I think she did. Good for her. Love it.
Oh my goodness.
Love it. Love it.
So, oh wait, so I have to show my chat because I just saw two messages pop up. Let's see.
Well, I recognize a few names from the Facebook groups, but I don't see any of my members or anybody in here. Let's see. Norma, Kathleen, Patricia, have you and I talked? Have we talked? Have you been in one of my workshops?
Uh-oh.
Do I have?
I'm removing. Oh my goodness.
I love it. Patricia, tell me which workshop you were in. Wait, I can't hear you, babe.
I can't hear you, Patricia. Hi, it's been a while since I've seen you too.
I can't hear her. Oh no.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Patricia.
Is your volume up, babe? Sometimes I have it unmuted, but my volume's down.
I don't know.
No,
Hi,
but
Mary Beth.
I know her name. I know I've seen her name like in one of my. Has anybody else been with me in a workshop? Or I'm embarrassed if I have forgotten, but
Don't
anybody
be scared.
else?
There's a million people that you know.
There's a lot, but I always feel like I want to remember everybody, but you know how that goes. You're
Can you hear me now, Steph?
Oh yeah, Patricia, I can hear you. Yeah.
Hi, I figured it out.
Hi,
Yes,
what did
the color pencil workshop, I've been did that. That's fantastic. I still do that with the kids. I love it. It's great.
which one did you do? Did you do the plum?
I did the plum with the fruits, the plum and all of that. It was during the summer. I took it with you.
Okay. Now, did you get the email this past year that we converted everything over to Thinkific and that we bundled like 7 workshops
Oh,
and you have already purchased it. So that is in your dashboard. You have 7 workshops now.
oh, I have to go and find out
Yes.
where I can find that.
Yes. And you know what, hun, get with me if you can't find it. But if you go on Thinkific and
Okay.
you make a password, it's free to make a password. You'll see your dashboard and
Okay.
you'll have this giant colored pencil because remember I taught like 7 different ones that summer.
Yeah.
And when we moved everything to the new platform, I thought, you know what, I'm just giving everybody everything. So like if anybody else is on here that has taken that back in the day when I sent you a Google file, like Wilma Flintstone, like we finally got into the 21st century and I have an online teaching platform now. So that's my thing. That's on thinkific.com. So you go there and make a password and you will have all kinds of goodies.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm
Please, everyone.
excited.
I know, I am too. I'm just excited for everybody to know, and we sent everybody an email who had signed up, but we weren't sure if everybody got it, if it went to spam, or you know how that goes. So
Right.
you when you're trying to reach people, that's
So
the
how do you spell that website to go to?
It's Thinkific. So the word think and then ific.com.
Okay. Thanks.
Oh,
Real,
you're welcome.
real
I'm just
quick, I just posted the handout that Tiffany sent me for us to use as a reference for this workshop. So it is posted in the chat and you can click on it at any time. Jeannie has asked how to get her camera on. Jeannie, are you okay now or are you still not able to put your camera?
down, Jeannie, down in the lower left corner where it says stop video. There should be a red line through it. If you click on that, it should turn your camera on.
Still can't turn your camera.
Remember the name?
So if you go to the lower left, yeah,
Where it
looks
says
like a little video camera next to the microphone.
it says stop video.
You can click on that little arrow. You should be able to choose your camera, or if it has an X through it or a slash through it, it means it's off. So click it to make it on.
Oh my gosh, look at Stacy's little sweetheart with her there. Oh my gosh. Stacy, I have a new granddaughter and she's 4.5 months old. And oh my gosh, it's like the most precious thing ever. Yes. Yeah. I had a lady at the hospital when my daughter was giving birth. She said being a grandparent is the only thing that's not overrated. So if you're a grandparent, you could probably agree with me, but it's been quite the journey, I have to say.
I'm telling
Okay.
my son to go slow because I'm not ready yet.
You're fine. No, you're totally fine. And listen, let me just like, this is a disclaimer. If you have not been to my rodeo before, I tend to like get all excited and get wordy and get like, like talking. So if you guys have a question, Steph and I already talked, put it in the chat. She's going to manage the chat. I'm not smart enough to demo and manage the chat at the same time. So thank God I have her on board today. If you're on a call with me where it's just me, it can get a little dicey, but my people understand. So, all right. So I'm going to shut up, Steph. I'm going to let you do your thing.
Well, I was going to say, welcome everybody. I know that we had a very heavy month of March and I did not have workshops during March because things needed to get done. So I'm made up for it and I've booked a lot of great people. I hope you also on my guest list for upcoming events. And Tiffany is an internet star
Oh
that
yeah.
many of us follow. And as all of my previous guests, I stalked on Facebook and begged for participation, and Tiffany was gracious enough to just absolutely be thrilled to join us, and even volunteered to do it again. So
Oh yeah, we'll do it again.
yep, I'm gonna go check out your whole blog and your website and your videos and everything and pick what we want to do
You
next.
just pick what you want. You pick what you want and we'll get it done.
Perfect. So I am going to hand it over. We're basically going to do a you're
We're
gonna,
gonna do this.
you're gonna work it through as you tell us how it's done. And if you want to work along, if you can keep up, that's great. If not, you'll have a demo right here, so you know
Exactly.
what to do next. And over to you, Tiffany.
Good evening, my fabulous people. I don't even know where to start. If she lets me go too long, it's 7:16. It'll be 7:45 by the time I'm done, like thanking you for being here and telling you how much it means to me. But I am Tiffany Fox, and I was in the classroom for 13 years up in North Carolina. And 2 years ago, my husband and I moved to Greenville, South Carolina, to be close to my daughter and her precious husband. And they just had a baby, 4.5 months ago, and so I'm a new grandma. And I came here to start a new chapter in my life, and that is to be a curriculum designer, art curriculum designer, and a professional development facilitator for art educators. So that is, my business is called Mrs. T Fox Resources. If you've seen me in the Facebook groups, or if you've seen me online, or maybe you're on my email list, I don't know. If you're not on my email list, get on my email list, because I send one newsletter a week. It's 3 paragraphs long. I will not spam you. All I'm doing is saying, here's what's coming up. Here's a new item in the shop. Here's a new freebie. Like, it's just stuff to help you is what I'm doing. And so I taught drawing and painting and AP Studio Art. Suburban high school, 2,000 kids, you know, your typical class sizes, 35, 37, and loved it. Loved everything about it. Loved high schoolers, loved everything about it. And, you know, life just does its thing. And so now I'm here, and I miss the kids terribly. I miss teaching terribly. I miss, and, you know, being inspired by people and helping people succeed. And so I tell people in my online PD and in my I have a membership too, that my drug of choice is watching you succeed. So that's just my thing. That's what I do. And I just love to see people succeed. I love to see kids learn. I love it all. So, what we're going to do is, so anyway, thank you for tuning in. It's Thursday night and it's April and everybody's fried like a chicken. All right. So, and I remember what that was like. So this is what we're going to do. This is my home office, and this is I teach drawing on a scaffold. So I'm just going to give you a super quick backstory. If you've never been on my YouTube and you are interested in teaching on a scaffold and what that means in your classroom, and what it means is success for everybody, not just for 4 or 5 creative kids and then everybody else, you know, carves penises into your desk. Okay, you're gonna have to edit that part out, but just everybody all in, you know, it's such an amazing way to teach. And I didn't discover it until I was very frustrated my 2nd year in, and I finally had a very wise coworker say, you got to break it down. You got to break it way down. And when she said that to me, everything changed. So on my YouTube there, I was telling Steph, there are 3 like webinars, one about teaching drawing, one about teaching painting, one about teaching colored pencil, and there's more to come. But this unit, I teach drawing in 6 units over the course of a semester, approximately 3 weeks each. This is unit number 3. So the kids have already done line drawing and drawing with shapes, and this negative space unit is what we're going to do. This is the 2nd project. No, I'm sorry. This is the 3rd project that they do in the unit. They draw a negative space stool for the first thing. The second thing they do is paper clips. I think here's one of the paper clips right here, if you can see that. So in the product, there's going to be a link in the chat, and in the product, if you're interested, the little frames are also in there so you can make your display. And then they do this. We do this on cheap construction paper, like cheap, dollar store cheap. Okay. So I had tons and tons of construction paper left over the first year. And I was like, what am I going to do with all this construction paper? And this is what I did with it. And so I was telling Steph before you guys got in the room that a lot of these are kids with accommodations. So accommodations, like heavy accommodations, like IEPs as long as your arm type accommodations. So the kids love it. It's a small project. It's only 4 by 6. They do 2. Sometimes we do a black and white one and a color one. Most of the time we do 2 color ones. So what we're going to do tonight is, if you're using this reference, if you have it, this is 2 inches by 3 inches, and the picture plane is 4 inches by 6 inches. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my doc cam, and I'm just going to talk you through it as if I was teaching it in a demo to the kids. So I'm just going to, so if you're thinking, oh my gosh, lady, I already know how to do negative space, just grab your beverage and just sit back and listen to me yammer on about it. But I'm going to work, if you're working with me, I'm going to go ahead and create something that looks like, you know, I'm going to do the chair in negative space. These are the learning targets. The learning targets are, they have to, let me show you this one. They have to draw the chair using negative space only, and then they're allowed to do whatever they want in the background. The whole entire picture plane has to be filled. It has to be interesting. It has to be colorful. And that's really all the guidelines I give them. Okay. So Steph was saying, oh my gosh, like everybody filled all of the picture plane. Like, well, that's part of the guidelines. And like without me going into too much, and like I said, you guys being here till 10:30, just go watch the YouTube video. It'll explain everything as to how I get 100% buy-in. I don't care who it is. I don't care what their behavior issues, what their background is. 100% buy-in all the time. And this was the little thing I learned. This was actually done during COVID. This was a virtual project. This is mat board, scrap mat board. Guess what happens when kids use mat board to do their projects on? No tracing. Nobody can trace because you can't see through this. Okay, so yeah, if you don't want to have to worry about them tracing it, give them your scrap mat board. And because it's small, scrap mat board works great. If you have a local frame shop in your town, you need to go see them because they will give you so much of this that you can't even see straight. I filled my trunk every 2 weeks from the local frame shop with foam core and mat board. So
Wow.
you don't have to spend a dime. So that's just a little teacher hack for you. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my chair. I'm going to switch to my dot cam. Okay, now let's see if I can do this.
While
Okay.
you're switching, we have a comment from Karine Raleigh. She says, "It's T Fox. I actually know you from searching for curriculum. Well done. To me, you are like famous in the art teacher world.
Oh, that is so sweet.
You
And
are a
you know,
celeb."
my favorite thing to hear from people is that I made their life easier
Yeah.
because we all know that this is not an easy thing, and teaching is not an easy thing. But when you have a family or when you have small children, all of those things need attention, and they're the things in your life that are precious and dear. Not that your students aren't precious and dear, but there's only so many hours in the day. And we did a little thing in my membership where we talked about writing your own curriculum and how people for some reason expect art teachers to write their own curriculum. And I said, well, the next time you're at school, I want you to go down the hallway and I want you to ask the science teacher if he wrote the textbook. And this lady said to me, oh my God, you just changed my life. She's like, I was feeling so guilty about using somebody else's curriculum. And I'm like, no, don't do that to yourself. Make your life easier.
Mhm.
Okay. Can you guys see that? Is
That's-
that, can you
Yep.
see it? Are we good? Okay. All right. Let me put my phone on do not disturb because the last time I did this, my mother-in-law called me. And she's like, why don't you answer your phone? I'm like, oh my God. All right. Phone's on do not disturb. All right. Got my pencil, got my reference. I make the kids draw it upside down. When they do their line drawing unit, they have to do the whole right brain thing. We do this a forgery exercise, and then they do a line drawing upside down. They do a couple worksheets and before they do their final project. And you can see all of that stuff, on my Pinterest or on Facebook or whatever. But so they've already done this. The point is they've already done this. They know what they're doing. I don't have to go over the whole right brain thing. And the easiest way to go about this for the kids, the reason I spend so much time on negative space, and I spend about 3+ weeks on negative space alone, it is single-handedly the most important drawing technique that they will need when they go to draw from life. And if you're sending kids off to art school, but I was sending a lot of kids off to art school. And if you're sending them off to art school, their entire first year is a foundations course where they draw from life. So we want them to be prepared. And so this is why I spend so much time on it. And it really does pay off when they go to draw from life. So there's no grid on this. So, this is just basically a sighting exercise. And I will just say to them, the chair has to fit in the rectangle. You have to scale it up. It has to fit and it can't go out of the picture plane. So you have to decide, if I'm going to start right here, and this is what we're drawing these areas. We're not drawing the chair. If I start with this shape, the first shape is the most important one, because if it's too big, the chair won't fit. If it's too small, we won't be able to see the chair. So you have to estimate we have to cite how much of this part of our rectangle is this going to take up right here. So I'm going to look at it and I'm going to basically cite and estimate. So I'm going to guess that I am. Now my wiener dog just walked in the room. This ought to get real interesting because my husband's not home. I let you out. I cannot let you out right now. And I'm citing. This is my eye going up the center. I'm checking my angles. I do this demo for the kids on the overhead projector. For everybody under the age of 30, find yourself an overhead projector at a flea market. Because when the internet goes down at your school, you'll still be teaching. And everybody else will be sitting around twiddling their thumbs. Okay, now I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna look at that. And I'm gonna skip over with my eye. I'm gonna kind of figure out where the rest of my chair should be. And I think it's gonna fit. And this is exactly how I do it with the kids. So, and then I say to them, put an X right there because you just drew that. And now we're skipping over the chair. I tell them, I don't want to see you drawing the chair and then erasing the chair and leaving the negative space. That you can see that coming a mile away. So then we're skipping over the chair. We're adding on. The other thing is I've been up since like 4:45 because I watch my granddaughter. So this ought to be real interesting here. Okay, here we go. And then Steph, if you get questions, if you guys have questions while I'm doing this, just pipe in the chat and I can answer while I'm doing this. We were talking, I mean, when you teach high school, you gotta juggle all the plates. So that doesn't bother me. These things have to line up. The other thing we talk a lot about is that a chair is a manufactured object. So these things have to line up. The guy that made the chair is not going to be happy if your chair doesn't line up. This is a little bit wider. Let's get rid of that and that. I've never done this chair either. So this is like total, talk about flying without a net. Okay. I'm going to skip down. Now from here to here is a little more than halfway from here to here. So this is your drawing is about relationships. So you have to relate what you've drawn to what you're about to draw. Here's a visual plumb line right here. So this is my eye coming down. This is how I know where to stop right here. Because the kids will say, well, how far over do you go? Well, I'll say you go as far as your plumb line will take you. So this has to line up with this. This is between the back of the chair. This is between the legs and the rung. So as they're doing this, I tell them, take a minute and make sure all of the pertinent parts line up. You can cite your angles with your pencil. Pencils aren't just for drawing.
We have a question.
All right, hit me.
Joy would like to know, do you always draw the inside first and teach them to do this, and why? Because my brain wants to draw the outside line first, or is that just your preference?
Nope, it's all about proportion. And if they draw the outside first, this is what they're going to do. They're going to draw the outside. They're going to be traveling around here. And 99 times out of 100, they're going to leave the wrong amount of space right here. So if you build it from the inside out, you keep everything nice and proportional. And then when you go to add the outside on, you're gonna have a beautifully in proportion chair. Does that make sense? So it's like starting with the heart of the item and then working your way out. And if you have the first shape correct, and then the second shape correct, and the third shape correct, all of those things build on to each other. And then you're going to have a really nice finished piece. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the method behind that madness. And they will want to draw the outside first. So I am now going to go to this shape right here. Now this is kind of funky because it doesn't really, what it lines up with is right above this corner. So I have to take a minute and figure out where it's going to land. So this corner, if I look this way, right here, if I come across, and all of my products come with video tutorials, and this is exactly how I explain it in the video tutorial. So this is my corner, and I checked it here, and I checked it here. So I came up here, I came across here, and that's where the corner is. We also, when I teach drawing too, we hardly ever, like I've done more erasing here than the kids will. We don't even go through erasers. We hardly even use them, which is really weird. People are like, oh my gosh, what do you mean you don't use erasers? Because you don't need them. This is parallel to this. So this and this, a lot of drawing is just common sense and the relationships between the parts.
If
So,
that's made, if that type of common sense is taught, because, you know, it's a visual thing and not everybody knows how to look.
yeah, and that's what you have to teach them.
Right.
Like when we do the line, and that starts all the way back with the line drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we do that very first 3-week unit on line drawing, that's where they learn how to really evaluate the relationship between the parts. So teaching high school, I talk about relationships a lot, and I say, okay, these light sketchy lines that I'm doing right here, this is the talking phase. Nowadays, kids call it talking. They don't call it like, like the casual date or something. They're talking to somebody. So this is where you're talking, and you've got to decide if this person is worth spending time with. This line. Do I want to keep this line? Is it in the right place? Is it going to serve me well? If it's not going to show up on time and pay for dinner, I might have to get rid of it and get another line. Okay. Kids can understand that. They get it. So this is at like a little bit of an angle. And some of this we may have to change. But right now, we're building this carefully. Okay, this guy right here, if I run my eye across, this is where this stops. So this is how we figure it out. We have to relate it to something that we've already drawn. Wow, y'all are getting me like totally. I've never done this one before. Okay. I think we may even be in luck. I think the chair's kind of hot. Okay, here we go. Coming over here. So now this is kind of a funky little shape, trapezoidal. I failed geometry twice and they passed me as a senior just because they wanted rid of me, but.
Me too.
Oh, it was awful.
Oh my God. But
It was horrifying.
They made me take it until I passed it.
Oh, no, they passed me because they were like, you got to get out of here. We can't look at you anymore. It was terrible. It was terrible. Okay, so this and this are parallel. That and that. So yeah, it was awful. It was so sad. I can still see my geometry teacher. He had been in the game for like 30 years at that point, and this was 1985. So, this was back when they could say to you, you're stupid and you need to leave. Right now.
I'm not allowed to do that anymore.
Can't do that anymore. No, that's not good. So
although a lot of people might do better to hear that.
yes. Well, I just decided that geometry was just not my thing. Okay, so although there are times when I'm like, I probably should have listened.
It's
All right.
funny because geometry is all about the shape, so you would think we would.
You would think, hey, listen,
Yeah.
one would think.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm thinking this is a little bit, so, okay, the lady that asked about the outside, this is like the pièce de résistance. This is where it gets fun. Is now we get to come up here. Now that we've done all the hard work, we have to skip over a little bit more because this is a wider leg, but now we get to see the fruits, of the labor here. And we are just going to pray that the fruits pay off. Okay. And we don't want to see anything inside, like all of these lines here, the front lines, we're not going to see any of that. Every place that it's the negative space, the positive space is just going to be one solid space. So no crossover lines. And it's really cool to watch them do this. And I'll have kids start over and start over because they really, when they see it and they see the errors, they get excited about making it right. Believe it or not. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but the buy-in, by the time you get to this unit, the buy-in is so good. It's so big. They're in, they're like, all right, well, we trust you. You didn't, we did these awesome things during the first 2 units. So, we know you got us.
What was
I'm
the last year that you were in the classroom?
year before last, 2022. We had been back from COVID for a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. I think this needs to come down just slightly. I'm going to move this just slightly.
So
Yeah.
what did you do prior to teaching if you were only in teaching for 12 years?
I was at home with my daughter,
Mhm.
and I did not go back to school to be an art teacher until I was 33. And I went part-time until I was 41. So about 7, 8 years. See, look how bad I am at math. How many years is that? It was a long time. My
Okay.
husband traveled and for his job, and I just had to go to class when I could. Then I was in Pennsylvania at the time, and right at the time that I was supposed to student teach, he got transferred to Charlotte.
Uh,
Yeah, and so we get to North Carolina, and guess what? You can't go to school until you've lived there a year.
really?
Yeah, you have to have residency for a year before you can get in-state tuition.
Huh.
So I had to live there for a year before I was able to finish, and it took 2 more years after that to finish. It was a long time. It was a long journey.
Wow.
It was a hard decision. It was hard to leave because I really enjoyed it and I loved the kids.
Right.
But I have one daughter, one child, and I wasn't going to miss being part of her life. And I had already started the business with the curriculum and had so many wonderful educators that I was working with. And I was like, you know what? This is my chapter. This is just where I'm supposed to be. And it was hard. I'm not going to lie to you, man. August came in Greenville, South Carolina in 2022, and it was not a good time for Tiff. Tiff was sad. I couldn't even drive by the high school without bursting into tears. It was bad. It was bad. But I knew there were bigger things. I knew there was different things, and I had to focus.
Right. Right.
I just had to do it. Okay, so let's see what we got. Let's see. All right, here it is. It's not perfect, but I think it's gonna do. Let's see. Let me look at this. This is what I have them do. I say, okay, check your angle on your legs. Check your angle on your seat. Check your angle on your back. Make sure everything lines up. All right, now the fun part. So at this point, I have set it up a million different ways. Sometimes I say it's, it's got to be a color scheme, it's got to be Zentangles, it's got to be a pattern. Most of the time, it's a free for all. It's whatever they want. Like you can see this right here is pumpkins. I don't really get too much into, as long as they fill it, it's creative. Sometimes depending on the class, you know how it is, you evaluate the group of kids and you're like, well, maybe they need a little more strong parameters. Like you just know your kids, you know. So what we're going to do, because I've been up all day, so I'm going to keep it super, super simple. I like to tell the kids that Sharpie covers a multitude of sin. So when we do the chair, I will let them use their ruler to do the Sharpie, just because, once it's down, it's down. And so we talk a lot about craftsmanship in my class. I mean, a lot about craftsmanship. When we do the very first project, which is the IM boards or the family album or the altered books, any of those things. My mantra is your work is an extension of you. And if I wrote you an email and I misspelled every word in the email, what would you think about me? And they say, we would think you were stupid. And I would say, yes. So what if somebody looks at your artwork and it's a big old hot mess, but they don't know who did it? What are they going to think about the person who did it? And that is usually all it takes for us to start the craftsmanship train going. I am an absolute craftsmanship crazy woman. Like we are here to do a job, and our job is to be amazing. I have a job and you have a job. And that's what we do in here. And that's who we are. It's really like a non-negotiable. And it's not a non-negotiable because Fox is mean. It's a non-negotiable because you're an amazing person and we want you to do amazing work because that's who you are. So once I establish that, and they're like, but we're not amazing. And I'm like, oh yeah, you are.
Hate
It's a
that,
one.
that they don't know, they have no idea how amazing they are, and their go-to is by default that they're not good enough, or
Oh, no. I tell them that's
Awful.
like, that's not an acceptable way to be thinking about yourself.
Mhm.
And that like the privilege of being their teacher, like one time by the end of the semester, I said to them, I'm like, you guys always work so hard. And tell me why, like, even when I know you're like thinking that it's like crazy hard or I'm making you do this ridiculous thing. I'm like, why do you guys always give me 150%? And they're like, Fox, we're afraid to disappoint you because you believe in us so much. Like I just wear them down. I wear them down with their amazingness. Like, I'm just like, you guys, I'm not taking no for an answer. You're just amazing. And then they start to believe it. You hear that whole self-fulfilling prophecy. Oh, y'all, like this line is totally off. Forgive me. Okay. Just like, give me grace on that line right there. This is Fox being up since 4 o'clock. Okay. But yeah, I don't take no for an answer. And we do it from day one, so if you read my blog with my first day activities, I was telling you stuff like I don't use a syllabus.
Mhm.
I've never used a syllabus. Nobody's reading that thing anyway. And
But they sure make you do it and post it in the school Google Drive so they
oh
can.
yeah. Oh no, I'll give you some
Yeah.
BS.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like actually, I don't even think I did that. Like when they said, "Oh, post your syllabus," I was like, "Okay." But everybody knows nobody's looking for that thing anyway. These people don't have 2 seconds to rub together, these administrators.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm erasing, and then we erase the pencil once we get and hopefully your lines look better than my couple of ones that are off here. So then once we're done with that, that's when we decide what are we going to do with our background. And oops, wait, I missed a place here. So I'm just going to like show you a couple of these up close just to give you an idea of what kids have done. This is a pretty cool one. this girl was a senior who didn't even want to be in my class. And by the time like we got past her attitude, she was just like totally, totally amazing. So that's one of my favorites. And I think this was Zentangles with varied line weight. That's what this was. And then so I just give them a place to jump off, and then they jump off after that. This girl right here was a hot mess. Right here, but look at this. But when she was in my class, she was fine. Because when she was in my class, she was like, "Oh, I guess I have to be amazing since I'm in here." And I'm like, "Yeah, you do." Okay, so this is another favorite of mine right here. This girl hardly ever came to school.
I love that.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alexis Watley, God bless her. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that you get the idea. And let me show you some of my kiddos with mods because I love them. Okay, here we go. This one right here, this is just preciousness all day long. Look at this.
Aw.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah.
And this was a ninth grade boy. And you can tell, like you can see up here, he was really getting the negative space. And then he got a little thrown off down here. Not a problem, because right here, he showed me he could do it. And then he's like, "Can I just do shapes in the background overlapping?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care what you do." So look how beautiful, they look how nice and neat. So, I could go on all day, but I'm not going to. And so now let's just like doodle around. If you guys have questions, like, why don't you guys just like hit me, ask whatever you got. I don't care. Anything, doesn't matter.
We have 2
I'm
questions. One,
Yeah.
did you ever teach middle school?
Yes. Lord have mercy. And I didn't teach arts. Are you ready for this? I taught social studies and math.
Get
Math,
out of here. Oh my God.
people. Yeah, only for one semester.
Wow.
And here's the story behind that. When I first got to North Carolina and I was not able to go to school, I'm not someone who can just sit around. So I started substitute teaching at the middle school that was like a mile from my house. My daughter was going there. And I had such good classroom management. The principal came to me. See, I had a degree in political science from Virginia Tech from way back in 1989. And she said, "I heard you have a poli-sci degree. We need a social studies teacher, but you have to teach one section of math." And she said, "And everybody's telling me how great your classroom management is." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll do it." Oh, y'all, seriously, not a smart move on Tiff's part. Because I can't do math. And that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to teach art, but I just love being around the kids.
Mhm.
But it's the social. Okay, here's the way somebody explained it to me once. Middle school is love of kids. High school is love of content. And I think that's really a good way to put it, because those middle schoolers, we all know that they're just a little cuckoo, and it's not their fault. I used to tell them, "Guys, it's not your fault. You just haven't been on the planet that long. We gotta work with what we got."
You're so kind and understanding.
I just adored them. I had this one kid who insisted on sitting in the recycle bin while I lectured. I can still see him sitting in the recycle bin.
Mhm.
And somebody said, "Well, like Mrs. Smith doesn't let him sit in the recycle bin." And I'm like, "Well, he's not doing anything. Well, if he's in the bin, he's not going anywhere. At least I know where he is."
That's true.
Yeah. So, it worked. His name was Charlie Orman. I bet, oh gosh, he's got to be, that was in 2005.
Oh my God, that's almost 20 years ago.
Yes. He's 30 years old. He's 31 years old.
Oh my God.
Yes. That's the other thing I tell them too. I'm like, "Guys, this is a chapter. Like, this is not your life. If I was with the guy I dated in high school, I'd be on a prison visit with 6 kids right now. Like you can't, this is not the end. This is not the end of the book. This is just the chapter. So
Beginning.
we got to make sure you get the most out of the chapter.
It's the prologue.
Yes, it's the
Really?
prologue. And this is not who you are. This is just, this is just hormones and drama and Instagram. And, this is not who you are. So that goes back to the whole, you're fabulous and that's who you are. And if we start believing that part of who you are, we can rewrite the story. Mhm. This is like so totally random. I don't even know. Okay. Do we have questions? Somebody ask me a question.
Okay.
Ask me
let's
anything.
see. Do they have the option to do the background using any medium and doing anything? And how do the kids avoid hitting the chair?
What do you mean, like hitting the chair? Like going through it once they've already drawn it?
It's unclear. Yes, she said.
Yes. They just have to be super careful. And sometimes I will even tell them, don't outline the chair until you've like maybe in pencil done the whole design in the background first. Like if they need to be a little bit more careful, they can wait to do the line on the chair until they have the background done. In case they have to thicken up the line weight, maybe to cover up a mistake or something. Does that make sense? And I keep the medium dry. I don't let them paint because watercolor doesn't do well with construction paper. This is just cheap construction paper. So it's marker colored pencil and Sharpie is what they can use.
Okay.
And that keeps it really cost effective too. Keeps
Oh,
everything.
it's not a question. It's Jeannie has a statement, 31 years total teaching art so far, 26 in middle school, and I still love it. God bless you.
Yes, Jeannie, yes.
Oh,
They're
right.
precious. They're precious. And at the end of every semester, I do a course evaluation with my kids, and just like in college. And that's how I frame it. I'm like, guys, when you go to college, the professor is going to want you to fill out an evaluation and, you're going to give feedback. And I only have 4 questions on the evaluation, and I have kept most of them. And I'm actually compiling some of them for a project that I'm doing. And, I always thank them for being a part of my life, for those 18 weeks, on our last day when we take our big final. And it's a privilege. It really is. And that's the way I feel, about working with you guys. So it's a privilege.
Aw.
It's true. It really is. It is. But this makes an awesome haul display. If you're on my Instagram, which is Mrs. T Fox Resources, I keep it real simple. And if you want to look for me online, it's Mrs. T Fox Resources. But I have lots of like bulletin board video scans, and this makes an awesome hallway bulletin board, especially if you do the paper clips or the scissors and you do the frames. I don't know who jacked up this marker, but it is frayed at the end.
My chair is not perfect either.
No, nothing is. Nothing should be. It's all a work in progress. But the nice thing about this too is once they get the chair done, this is like a really relaxing project for them because they can just color and doodle. I mean, if you teach high school, if I could give you any like super awesome day before break, Friday afternoon, day back from break exercise, take some coloring page images offline, print them on watercolor paper, cheap watercolor paper, and give them to the kids. And if you want to, I always tie a learning target to it because I'm a big pain in the butt, but I would say, it's got to be this color scheme, or it's got to be this, or it's got to be that. But they will sit and watercolor these coloring pages, and they will be just completely silent. And it's just so therapeutic for them and they love it. And they could be the goofiest things. Like I used to do these like little aliens, cartoon frogs. And my coworker was like, but that's all babyish. They're not going to want to do that. They loved it. Those little baby dinosaurs. Have you seen those little baby dragons and dinosaurs? I have a whole thing on that. They loved it. Absolutely loved it. Ate it up.
Hmm.
And you wouldn't think so because you're like, oh, they're high schoolers. They want to be treated like adults. No, they're kids. They're just taller.
Yes. That's
They're
what I
just-
say about when people ask me, well, what are high school kids like? I'm like, well, they're like elementary kids, just
They're just taller.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just taller. And my favorite thing is when people would say, so what do you do? Oh, I teach high school. And they go, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, don't be. It's way better than I know. I'm sure what you're doing. And I don't even know what that is.
Okay, we have a question.
Oh, awesome.
You said you have a final for students. What does that usually entail?
Oh my Lord, y'all, are you ready for this? Y'all are going to think I'm terrible. Okay. We do all over the course of the semester. We study usually 10 to 12 artists. There were semesters when I was really on it and we would do 15, but it usually fell between 10 and 12. Okay. So not each week because it was an 18-week semester, but we would cover these artists. I have presentations on every artist. The kids take notes. They're responsible. Each artist had 4 artworks that the students they were responsible for. And so they had 12 to 15 sets of notes with all of these. And for each artwork, they had to know the title, the artist, the medium, and the art movement or art style for each of the 4. So 4 times 15, whatever that is. See, there's math again. Is that 60? They were responsible for those artworks. And at the end of the semester, they had an art survey style exam where I would put the 60 artworks and then they had a big study guide that they had to fill out using their notes. And I would come up with like usually 100-slide PowerPoint. And all they had was an answer sheet with blanks. And we would do it college survey style. I would flip through the PowerPoint and they would take the exam on their blank paper, like just writing the answers. And for each one of those artworks, when I would show the artwork, they had to write all 4 things: the artist, the title, artist, medium, and movement. And that was their final. And it was insane. It was the most insane thing. Usually I showed one of my administrators once and they were like, okay, I don't even think I could pass that. And then they got a project grade for their notes. So if you're thinking, oh, like the kids don't take notes or whatever. So not only did they get a project grade for their notes, but I have a quiz at the end of each presentation. And so they take the quiz the day they take notes, but it's open note, of course,
Right.
and then they get a grade for that. So they have to turn those notes in at the end of class for that grade. It was intense. But here's the really cool part is when they left me and they went out into the world, even if they just went on summer break, I got emails and Instagram notes and texts and all this stuff where they were vacationing and they saw a Deborah Butterfield horse. One girl saw a Deborah Butterfield horse on a corner in Vegas and she's like, oh my gosh, I know who that is. And she, contacted me right away. And her parents were blown away. They're like, oh my gosh, here's our daughter who we didn't even think gave a crap, talking about somebody named Deborah Butterfield, and made them turn the car around and go back so she could get a photo of it.
And you never know which kid is going to be impacted or have the
Yep.
recall, and you have no idea until they message you on Facebook.
Yep.
out of
10 years
nowhere,
later.
say,
10 years later.
Yes.
Yes.
Guess what happened to me today?
Yep.
And
Yep.
and it's like, all right, this is why we do.
This is
what
why.
we do.
That's right. And I would tell them, like, because of course, when we start out and I I tell them about the art history component of the class and this is what we're going to do. And this is, you know, they start like, oh my God, oh my God. And I'm like, guys, listen, let me tell you why we're doing this. We're doing this because one day you're going to be with your family. You're going to be on vacation. You're going to be in a museum with your kids. Your kids are going to bring home a homework assignment. And you're going to say to them, I know who this is. And I know who this is because of that crazy woman in 2008 who made me take this exam. And here's the part that this is my favorite part about that test is I didn't accommodate anybody for that test. Like none of my kids that had IEPs or anything, I didn't give them a word bank or anything. And guess what? They all did great. And, you know, people would say to me, well, you know, you're not following their accommodations. I never had anybody with an IEP that said anything about art. They said everything about math and, you know, English and all these other subjects, but I always read my IEPs and I never saw anything. And I would even contact my special needs coordinator and say, hey, I have so and so, and it says here that they need extended time. And they're like, oh no, that's just for math and science. And I'm like, okay, game on. Let's do it. And they loved it. Absolutely loved it. Had one young man actually bring his friend in and had me get his test paper and show his friend that he got an 81 on my college survey exam.
Mhm.
It was awesome.
I have two questions, one long one and
Oh,
one
hit me.
quick one is how often do you check the kids' notes?
Well, they have to turn them in every single time we do the artist. And I
Okay.
put a grade in the grade book. And then at the end of the semester, when I collect them, like I tell them to make sure they put them in a safe place. Because when I collect them, I just give them a rubric with the list of, you know, the artist.
Mhm.
And it's like, if there's 15 artists, it would be, you know, 20 points for each artist or whatever.
Okay.
And no, wait a minute. I'm lying to you. I think it was an all or nothing. I think it was, they had to have them all when they got 100. If they didn't have them all, if they had 9 out of like 10, it was a 0. Like
Oh,
I was,
wow.
oh yeah, I was pretty harsh.
Good.
And if they were missing, now that I could be wrong about that, because I think I did it different a couple years. If they lost their notes or if they were not there when we took notes, I always had like notes, like blank ones that they could pick up. But
Mhm.
they could not photocopy anybody's else's notes and turn them in. They had to handwrite anything that they were missing. So they would come in my room during lunch for like the whole week before the notes were due. And
Right.
you got kids who don't come to school a lot. They
Oh,
would come in and say, Miss Fox, I need the notes. I got it. And they would sit down like after school, they would just like sit and handwrite all these notes. They would have, I said, you can copy somebody's, but it has to be in your handwriting because that's the only way you're going to learn.
okay. Next question is, how would you adapt this for elementary? I teach PK to 5, and I've been teaching elementary for 28 years, middle school and high school before that, 33 years total. I still absolutely love it, and I am still going strong. Well, God bless you. That's
Oh,
amazing.
that is
Um,
amazing. What a gift you are. Oh my gosh. For elementary school, I would probably just use like a very, very basic stool. Maybe just like a little step stool with like two prong, like two leg, you know, like the little three-legged round stool. Like I would keep it super, super simple or come up with something else that had negative space in the middle of it.
would
Like
you
I'm
use a template that they could just trace at the elementary level?
thinking, yeah, like I was telling, I don't know if you guys know Caitlin Eddington, Art with Mrs. E, if you're familiar with her, but she's a friend of mine. And we were talking on the phone tonight. And I said, Caitlin, before I knew what I knew, when I didn't know anything, I was doing like the graphite pencil portraits without a grid, like 10 by 12 with my 9-year-olds, you know, in my private classes. So it's not that they couldn't do it, but you don't want to torture them at that little tiny young age. So maybe a template that they could trace inside the negative space and then they could do their design. And then at least they would know what negative space was. See, I've never taught elementary, so I'm not even gonna pretend to understand like what the learning target would be, but if it was just so that they could recognize what negative space was, maybe the template would be a good idea. And then let them do whatever design they want in the background. And maybe the learning target would be that they understood where to put the design, that it's only in the negative space, not in the positive space.
That
I,
makes
I'm totally speaking like out of my, you know what, guys, because I'm a high school teacher. But
Okay, so let me introduce Mary Beth is my partner in NYSADA in terms of creating these workshops and offering the CTLE credit for New York State art teachers.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so she just posted a link in the chat for anybody. If you need the CTLE credit for this PD, please add your name to the document below. And she put a link in there for you guys to click on so you can get your CTLE credits. I'm so excited to be able to offer this because so many people, you know, I get that my battery is running out. Why is that happening? Everybody's tired and they don't, you know, they have other things that they have
Yes.
to do. But
Yes.
if you're getting the credit, then, you know,
Yes.
we'll make a point of sitting through this, even though we're tired and,
Yes. And
you know,
exhausted. Yes. I'm flattered that anybody even wants to like listen to me ramble on about all of this stuff. Honest to God, like I'm just really, I'm so grateful that you asked me.
well, again, we all speak the same language.
Yeah.
And we all need this sense of belonging and community with people who understand
Who
exactly
understand?
what we're doing and going through.
Yeah. And understand like how much we want to see these kids be successful.
Okay. Karen says I'm in need of credit for hours, not CTLE. I don't know what that means, Karen.
Okay, Karen, if you need hours, you can go to my Thinkific. I have hundreds of teachers getting their hours. I don't know if you're allowed to, like if you can clear it with your people, but I've never had anybody's admin or district people tell them they couldn't use my PD courses, and they all have classroom resources. Like it's not just a course, you get all of the lessons and the resources with it. So, you know, you can take it right back and use it in your room.
Do you get a certificate
With
from,
my PD,
I don't know, Karen, are you asking about this PD or Tiffany's videos? This one today. There's no certificate per se, although are we doing, Mary Beth, the evaluation? Maybe I don't know.
So if you sign up on the link that I just added,
Oh, by
I
the way, a
can,
lot of them are saying that the access is denied. You have to.
yeah, I have to go, I'm going through to give everybody access right
Okay,
now.
got it.
Sorry, we were kind of putting this together the first time. So if you add your name to that form, you will get 1 hour of content CTLE, and you will get a certificate emailed to you. And then in a minute, once I give everybody access, I will, I'm going to be putting a feedback form on there. So if you could just fill out any feedback, we need the feedback filled out so that it keeps us in the loop with New York State, so they will continue to allow us to give CTLE credit.
Great. Excellent. I'm really excited about the CTLE stuff. And if out of state people need that, so the certificate will be enough for that to hand into your admin? Am I understanding
Yes.
that? Okay, great. So these will be available for every workshop we do moving forward. And you have to be, if you know people who would like to attend others, just mention that you have to be in attendance live in order to get the credit. Otherwise, we would be giving out 1 million
You,
video people, and no.
Yeah.
You have to be here with us in conversation or actively
Yeah.
watching in order to get this. So, and we'll post the links to each for each one.
that's awesome. That's great that you guys do that. Because PD, like relevant PD for us is